Okay, so today is the same day that I watched episode 13. My schedule is a little different, so I'm doing a second session, but we may as well use this to recap and give a eulogy for the series because Livia Soprano single-handedly ended it with the third count on the plot armor thing. I decided that I should count. It makes sense that that's it. So Tony actually dies. This is my internal RP of the series because it makes sense. She got him one final time when he was trying to make a move. He told Artie, the guy who runs the restaurant, that he burned the restaurant, and that would have been good enough. There was nothing that Tony did. He wasn't prepared. Artie just shoots him. Livia's the ultimate mastermind. She had me fooled from the beginning. She's goated. She's goated. She gets 1,000,000 character points. She had a Light Yagami moment. This is like the moment where Light gets Rem to kill L. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you got somebody else to do it. Like, you were the mastermind. You planned it all out. You win in terms of game theory. She single-handedly ends the show. Livia ends the show. Like, I got to give her the GOAT status. She's the best character in the show. She had me fooled. I'm still confused. I'm still gaslighted by her. But she was absolutely goated. She's smiling, laughing at him when she's in the little thing in the hospital being carted away. There's nothing you can do. She's smiling at him. She's smiling at him. She knows how bullshit it is, that he's dead, he's done for, but because he's the main character, he gets infinite plot armor. Fuck that bullshit. She won that encounter easily. He never saw it coming. She was way smarter. Like, she's the boss. She's the saint, as she keeps calling her husband. She's GOAT level, GOAT status, and I'm even admitting, I tend to be pretty perceptive, and I, guess who the killer is. This is like one of those series-long villains, like Red John or somebody. I'm giving her that status. This is GOAT level status. Like, think about the number of ways that she had everybody beat. Like, again, I was rooting for Junior. Junior was my favorite character, but I have to even drop him down a peg. So the final character point statting is Junior actually ends at -1, or at +1. He's had a couple rough episodes. He was at +3, then he went to +2 because of the people he hired and how he failed to do the hit on Tony right with the hoodlums that he hired. Then this episode he gets to a +1 only, right, from +2 to -1 to +1, that he gets arrested and he was too conspicuous on the recording in the nursing home that he wasn't speaking in code. Guess who was speaking in code that I didn't even truly appreciate until I've really thought about it now? Who was speaking in code? The entire fucking series, who was speaking in code? Livia was speaking in code by acting like I don't know what you're talking about. And she even had me fooled. For the first few episodes, not only did I not know what she was doing and I didn't understand it, like, I think she really is just senile and I can't believe that she's not. Her act was so convincing that not only did I question that, like, oh no, she's not giving orders, I didn't even know she knew about the family business, even though, her husband, the saint, right, she must have known about it, because then she uses a word like capo regime. How the fuck do you know that if you don't know about the family business? So she let slip that finally, but even then I'm not entirely convinced. So, like, she's so psychologically convincing that even a psychology expert who's seen, so many movies, so many characters, she had me, I must admit. I would have stand no chance against her. She's far above Tony. Like, Tony can't even fucking carry her jockstrap or whatever, clean up her throw up or whatever. Like, Tony is nothing compared to her. She's like, she really, like, put her in the Light Yagami, Red John, I don't care what happens the rest of the series. That was so convincing. I must give it up to you, Livia. You ended the show. I liked the show, it had some really good strengths. I think it partly gets credit for it was innovative for the time. I'm sure 1999. It has some flaws, but it's still pretty good. Overall, the series is like somewhere between a C and a B. Let's say like a C plus based on the episodes we saw. It went on a really dry streak though. Episodes 6 to like 10 were garbage, and then 10 to 13 were like really good, and it's like, holy shit, dude. Like, maybe I'll give this even a courtesy A, but it was still basically a B. But I mean, Livia gets an A+++ character system. That's why I can't even say she was at like a +1 to +2. No, she's at a plus infinity. She won the series. That's actually how the story ends. She's happy, smiling in her bed, and Tony's dead because Artie shot him because she manipulates everybody. She even manipulated Junior. That's why she gets above Junior. So Junior's left at a mere +1. So he kind of fell off these last couple episodes. He went out kind of sad. Then Tony is at really still a -1. Right, but at least that's close, so they're within 2 points of each other. He's still at a -1. He doesn't do anything to stop what was going to happen to him. He's always just, pure plot armor. The guy hasn't beat in episode 5. Just doesn't kill him because of his daughter. Tony doesn't even know he's there outside the hotel. Then Tony again. Those two stupid clowns trying to kill him walk up to the car and try to whack him with the gun because they don't know how a gun fucking works. And then finally, Artie doesn't shoot him just because, Artie's soft and doesn't... Like, really, you point a gun in a mob boss, a capo's face. It's not even if you're wrong, what do you think you've done there? You don't think Tony... And of course, he's a clown, so he won't do it. But you don't think Tony would come back as soon as you put that gun down and then plan to kill you so you don't come back and get him later? Or just for the affront of pointing a gun in somebody's face? What kind of capo are you? As soon as you do that, you point a gun in a capo's face, a mafioso's fucking face, you're going to get killed if you don't end it right there. Everybody leaves everything halfway. You end it right fucking there. Shoot him in the face. Even if you're wrong, you can't threaten Tony Soprano. He's supposed to be this big boss. Like, what kind of mafioso are you that, you can just threaten to shoot him, and then you don't, and then he lets you go? Like, what the fuck is that? No, it's over. As soon as you do that, you're done. The next day he'll have a hit out on you. You better go on the lam yourself. So that point being that he had no way to stop that. He had no way to stop those two people hitting him in his car. He had no way to stop Artie. He had no way. He's just clueless. He's always a step behind. Livia's always a step ahead, several steps ahead. But no, as much, so Livia ends with infinite. Meadow ends with +1 because she was always funny and snarky. The Carmela ends with like -1 because she's a clown. The priest ends with -1 because he's exploiting his position to hit on all these women. I don't know what the fuck his deal is. Christopher ends with also -1 for some of his clown behavior in episode 8. Nothing really super meaningful happened with him, since then, one way or the other. He was kind of disappointed with Tony, as am I. So Tony really sunk the series, but give credit to Livia. I just didn't even understand what was happening with her, I must admit. She had me fooled. At the beginning, I didn't even know she knew about the family business. Then I didn't know that she was really manipulating these things. Then I didn't know how far she was manipulating them. Then I didn't realize she really wanted Tony dead. Then it's already too late, and it's already over. And it's just, that's it, dude. That is actually unbelievable writing. Like, that character is an A+. That is it. I couldn't even understand what was happening. And not in a bad way, like, it's just, she's too good for me. I couldn't figure it out. I was completely gaslighted. Like, Livia Soprano gaslights me, right? And I just have nothing to say. Like, I have this expression sometimes with characters, like, I love people, or even in real life, like, I love people who prove me wrong, right? I didn't see that in her, and she's so much better than what I would have even ever imagined that I just can't. So she's at infinite, Tony's at -1, Junior's at +1, despite, he's in the can, but he overall did still better in the series than Tony, but whatever. He's in the can, so he'll come back to haunt Tony later. It's a good way for them to sort of subvert the need for one of them to go out early on. But no, this was a hot streak of good episodes where they're dealing with very heavy stuff. Chris is at a -1, mainly clown behavior, episode 8. He's always one of those guys who's around neutral, like, he's always up and down. Junior was generally positive throughout the series until this bad streak. Tony was generally negative, hovering around -3, -4, until this good streak, even though, whatever, it is what it is. Meadow, again, +1, just funny. The other kid I don't care about, Carmela, -1, the priest, -1. We're just kind of tallying up everybody. The rest of the mafioso I don't really care too much about. Who else is there? That's basically it, right? Those are all the main characters. Again, Meadow was cracking me up every time she would appear. Everything she said, she would only appear for like a scene or two, but she was always funny and snarky and whatever. She has my kind of humor, right? She was hilarious, actually. And she's not really even trying to be. She's just being all snarky and, what do you know about the stock market? That was fantastic. So yeah, Junior gets dropped down a peg. He's the second top character. So if I was to do a character's ranking, it would go Livia, then Junior, then Tony, then Christopher, or I guess Meadow, but, we'll give Tony the benefit of the doubt, whatever. But no, realistically, according to my system, it would go actually Livia at infinite character points, Junior at +1, Meadow at +1, but again, the context is a little different. Then Tony at -1, then Christopher at -1, then, Carmela at -1, the priest at -1, and then, from there, who really cares? So Tony goes out kind of sad. Junior kind of went out sad too, I will have to acknowledge. Livia does some very surprising things. she gaslights me. She has a light Yagami moment with a smile. She has just a genius brain. She tricked everybody. She's goated. She pulls the Rem where gets Artie to kill Tony at the end. That's how the series ends in my official canon. And anti-plot armor, 3 strikes and you're out. Tony should have learned that from baseball. Like, that is completely too much to even handle. This is the kind of moment that, you know what I mean? Like, this is deserved. This is like a 12, 13 episode thing. Episode 13 was Tony's unlucky number, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, so Livia was very convincing. She was like the real boss. I got that vibe at some point with the way that Junior was talking to her, but I didn't understand. I almost thought I was giving Junior too much credit, that he was extrapolating on what she was saying in a way that he would like, but that's actually what she meant. So he was ultimately her puppet as well. Like, as capable as he is, he was nothing more than a pawn in her game still, right? She had everybody on a string, and you can't call her on it, because what was she doing? She was subverting everybody's suspicion. Like, she was subverting the recording that she didn't even know was there, speaking in code all the time, because she was saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what are you, stupid, Junior, that you should have been, speaking in code too? So she's not doing that because she's senile. She's doing that because she's a genius. Like, why would I say something that could be traced back to me, and I'm not even acknowledging it to you either? So it's like, they were acting as like co-bosses, but she was almost the real boss. So the whole show, she was like advising him, take out Brendan, but don't take out Chris. Then take out Tony. Then tax Hesh. Then, do all these kind of things. All the while never admitting it. All the while having me fooled and the audience fooled. All the while being an absolute menace. Now Junior's locked up. Tony's dead, according to me, and realistically should be. And Livia's just smiling on her little thing in the hospital, and then all of a sudden she'll miraculously get better, and nobody can call her on anything because she's just a goat. Right? And so that ends up being so beautiful because, it's just like, you can't really call her on it, and you can't really catch her on it, and you can't really stop her. And Junior was just being played for a fool too. He ends up in the can. She can't be incriminated, whether by the recording, whether by Junior, whether by anybody, right? Almost to the point where you don't even know you still don't even know whether this is like Quercus Alba vibes. Miles Edgeworth, one of the greatest villains in fiction history, not to spoil it, but whatever. If you played it, like he had me fooled with the old man act. She's not quite at his level because he's even more convincing, but not even just in the old man act, but then he has a second form. He has a final form that's even more impressive. But it's like, look, dude, that is an all-time great villain. I really just couldn't believe it. I really fell for that. That's the second time by a great villain I've been fooled by the old, feeble person act. Not that Quercus really pretends to be, this is high praise. Look at the characters I'm comparing her to. Red John, Quercus Alba, Light Yagami. Like, this was it. I don't know what to even else say, but no, I'll move on to some other series on my other days here. I technically only have one ongoing series, which is my comedy saw, which is Full House. But no, this is the kind of moment that makes me happy to be doing this format. Even though I'm sad to see the series go, it had some strengths, and I wasn't rooting against it. People might even say, you're coming up with excuses not to watch it, but how was I supposed to know it was going to abuse plot armor that much? So it's only fair you have a 3 strikes and you're out counter. So that's actually the end. I'm not going to watch anymore. I don't really want to know what happens. It's like a permadeath series. I'm creating my own failure state. But Tony had 3 strikes where he got saved by just purely the writers. He did not deserve it. He didn't do anything. He wasn't prepared. He wasn't, on top of it. He's always reacting like, oh, please don't kill me, Artie. Please don't kill. Please be a clown. The hitman, who 2 of them with guns somehow get beaten by a guy sitting in a car who's sick and depressed, and they reach into his window. Like, what's going on, dude? Like, it makes no sense. So, a history of violence style moment, but not even worthy of that, because at least Viggo Mortensen is a bit more capable and, not fat, and he's just, he's a more badass character than Tony ever dreamed of being. So Tony fittingly, has to go to a therapist like the clown that he is. He fittingly, is depressed and a rock bottom. He fittingly is not actually the boss, even though he pretends to be, or whatever, like he thinks he is, but he's having these secret meetings that he thought could never come back on him. Like, you're leaving that thing hanging. So, maybe he said something incriminating too in the meetings that they would have on the recording with the thing, right? He would have the therapist also is a +1, I guess, overall. In fact, she should probably be more. She was a +2. So she would actually, actually she'll end off as a +2, even above Junior, surprisingly, as a dark horse winner because of her perceptivity with helping Tony, carrying Tony. Tony's getting carried by plot armor. He's getting carried by, by the therapist, by everything but his own capability. And so, she figured out that the mother was doing it before I even did, before anybody even did, like, look at how many ways Tony gets help. This is actually kind of bad writing, all things considered. Despite how good Livia is, and I'm giving her credit. Think about it. Tony doesn't know what's going on. Tony lucks out with plot armor 3 times, as we pointed out. In episode 5, in episode 12 with the hit, and then in episode 13 with Artie. But also, think about that. She's in the hospital too, and it's an ace in the hole that Artie comes to see her, and she uses that. Like, I don't know how she could have arranged really for Artie to come see, but just the fact that she knows a lot of people and they would feel bad for her and things like that. Right, that she would have found a way, even in that weakened state. She's way more well-connected, way more crafty, way more resourceful than Tony ever could have imagined of being. Dude, like, I don't know what to say. If your husband was a saint, then you're the devil, but in a good way, because you are absolutely unbelievable. And so what happens is, I don't know what to say even. I'm sort of speechless, but this is sort of these are the kind of moments that you'll get with me. Like, when characters deserve it, they deserve it, right? I wasn't up or down on Livia the whole series, but you just have to give it to her. But no, let's think about all the ways that Tony was helped. He's saved by plot armor in episode 5 outside the hotel. He's saved in episode 12 from the hit. He's saved in this episode from Artie. He's also held by the FBI, who are playing that recording conveniently for him. Yes, to try to turn him, but how convenient is that to let them know, you're going to get whacked by your mom and by Junior? They're just playing it for him so he knows, giving him kind of a head start that he can, do something, because he would have never known otherwise. He would have just died. So that's number 1. He gets held by that, plot armor, FBI. He also gets held by the therapist. The fact that, the therapist is going to basically be so insightful as to give him advice constantly, like with the whole promoting Junior to be a boss was kind of her advice, and other things about Pussy's back, that it could be psychological because he's keeping secrets, and then also something else to do with this, like that your mother might be the one who's actually behind this, right? Which even was not even on my mind at the time. So yeah, the final character standing is Livia at Infinite, which really means she won the series. She won. She's actually the main character, the final boss, and she gets victory. That's the only way I can interpret it. I can't keep making excuses for Tony. The series really did fuck up. Like, this is a high standard, but the plot armor fails. Now, to be fair, I keep talking about The Mentalist, like how much I like that show, or I keep referencing it, but even that, like, Jane would have lost on plot armor, certainly. Red John saves his life in season 2, that's plot armor. Red John saves him again in season 6, that's plot armor. Red John gives him a freebie at the end, 6-8. So easily, Red John would have won that and Jane would have lost, and so that's over as well. It might have taken longer to get there, right? But just the fact that Red John doesn't kill him anytime when he easily could, like nothing stopping him, would be kind of a minus for Jane. So some of these characters are just too good, so the series can't handle them, right? Livia is not dialed back. Like, it's all part of her plan. It's all part of her act. So yeah, we would end off with Livia at Infinite as the crown champion GOAT of the series, who ends it in episode 13. The therapist is +2. Let's kind of recap what those moments were. What was Livia's one other moment, like the Campo Regime moment, how she kind of reveals it, her knowledge that way. So generally she was +1, +2. Maybe you could say I'm going easier on her because she's old, but she's also not doing anything like bad, or unimpressive. Like, she's just, either she's really senile and has a bad memory, which is not really her fault, or she's not, and she's this smart, or she is both, but she still has the presence of mind to do what she needs to do, or what she wants to do. She doesn't even really have to do any of this, but she just wants to. She doesn't like the clown behavior that Tony is putting on display that's doing a dishonor to the family name, which I have to agree with. Right, I thought Junior would be the one to do it, but it's actually Livia who's truly the one to do it, and even manipulating Junior and even bypassing the recording and bypassing everybody's awareness and acknowledgement that she even knows what she's doing, including mine, including Junior's, including Tony's, including everybody in the show, including the police on the recording of the FBI. Like, who can catch this woman? And the answer is nobody can. She can smile in your face, but you're fucking dead, Tony. You're just a ghost. You're just a hallucination that she's having as she's playing around with the people in the hospital, because she doesn't even need to be there. So, the therapist would be the next one. So the therapist is a +2 again for her general perception. General intelligence was +1, and some of these recent deductions with the mother would be the second point here. And then again, not very many minus points. She would have had 1 minus that was negated by something else earlier on. One of her other good deductions, like with pussy and with telling people, try to let them feel like they're in control, which is kind of what Livia did to Tony as well, and to Junior. And then Junior's salty. He doesn't want to admit that Tony's in charge, even though he kind of was, and so even to kind of rat him out. But no, it's a case where he's going to get out and then he's going to kill Tony later or whatever. But the therapist was a situation where, yeah, she's +2 overall. Junior's still +1. What were some of the good things he did? He kind of held information in his back pocket about the therapist. He wasn't, quick to use it against Tony. He was measured. He listened to Tony in episode 6 about, share the wealth. He listened to Tony about something else too, like time to do spring cleaning. So those aren't really plus points, but they're at least not minuses, because he was at least willing to be reasonable and wasn't completely dismissive of Tony's good advice the times that he gave it, which obviously Tony got some of those points from that. And so you have a situation where Junior was... what else did he do that was really good and impressive? How he got up to a +3. Just the fact that he takes out Brendan, and he also gets the reparations of the truck back. So that was the right move, and he kind of plays Tony there, that he has in both ways. He also is, his general demeanor and everything was a +1 at one point. The minuses came quickly the last couple episodes with respect to failing the hit and also failing to stay out of prison and talking so openly with Livia. And then, that whole relationship was interesting, how I never knew whether it was Junior extrapolating on what she's saying for his own benefit and her really not knowing, or whether it's her actually, just not acknowledging it but being so smart. I almost couldn't believe she was that smart and crafty, but that's just good writing to show, it's too much. It couldn't be an act at this point, or it couldn't be that it's not an act, because Tony's even saying she's smiling, right? The mental nutcase that he is. So maybe she's playing that off too, like, oh, my son's talking about me, and the nurse to the therapist complaining about his mother. Maybe that's why she wants him dead in part, but also that's her way of basically saying to Junior that, oh, he could be leaking information about us to the therapist, and therefore we have to kill him, right? Even though she never actually says that, and I can't call her on that. The FBI can't catch her, Tony can't catch her, nobody can catch her. You won't even be able to get to her now because she'll be in some kind of safe ward sort of environment, but she doesn't need to be, because Tony's technically dead, because plot armor, infinite levels is not going to save you here. So I'm very impressed by that. That part is good writing. Overall, the series wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as I thought or has been made out to be. And I guess people would overlook some of these flaws, especially at the time, because it was so innovative for the time. But this is like my tribute to the series, a final recap, my tribute to Livia, who really, to the very end, I was still kind of in shock. I'm still in shock even now. That's really, I wanted it to be Junior, but you one-upped even him, so I have to give you credit where credit is due. That was really a surprise. But it makes sense. The way she was talking the whole series, it makes sense. She took out Brendan. She took out, she did all these other things that Junior was doing. She was the one giving the advice. Not because Junior might not have done some of that stuff on his own, but somehow he was asking out of respect for her because of her husband, right, for her advice or thoughts on it, for her almost approval or permission, right? But it's almost like then she kind of played even him, like where she's pretending to forget about Meadow and stuff like that. Who is that girl, right? And nobody can say anything because her act has been so consistent and so convincing that, this is just the next step in her memory loss. It's not like she suddenly puts on the act. She's been putting it on the whole show. The act is her whole being, and so now nobody can do anything to her, right? Like, but then why did she let herself get put in a nursing home too, right, at the beginning, if she doesn't want to be there, or maybe she's only pretending to not want to be there, but I don't know exactly about that. Like, if she's really this smart, then why did she subject herself to being in the nursing home if she really knows what's going on? But I guess, I don't know. I can't really even figure her out to that extent, but it's all part of her planning. Tony sold her fucking house. You sold her house behind her back. Like, who do you think you're fucking with, dude? You're dead. You're dead. That's what it'll say on his gravestone. Sold Livia's house. Like, how dare you fucking think you can do that? Even if she's in the nursing home, you keep that house out of respect. Out of respect for her, out of respect for her husband, the saint, right, for the family. You don't get to sell that shit behind her back, dude. So, yeah, she's totally vindicated and justified. So I appreciate that reasoning as well. So I don't fully understand that point, though. If she really was this in control, maybe that was the whole point, though. But no, then why let him sell the house? She puts on this act so nobody can catch her for what she's doing, for all her planning. But then she also ends up in a nursing home, and so she also loses her house. So, why not just stay in your house and show that you're that competent, but then I guess they could catch you out on these things? I'm not entirely sure. That's the sacrifice she was willing to make, but it's still very convincing. I can't figure her entirely out. Yeah, that was an amazing thing. So you see how much I enjoy this. That was a worthy character. It doesn't matter even what happened the rest of the series. That's a memorable character that I'll never forget, and it's a tribute to her. I really couldn't have told you that. I really couldn't have said that this is the way it was going to go, and I can't really poke holes in it. See, I can poke holes in Tony all day because he's just not even that he's a flawed character, but he's just garbage. I could literally kill Tony myself if I wanted to, if I'm in this universe. And I'm like Chris. I'm just like a clown, this young upstart kid who thinks they're better than what they are. I'm not, I don't know how old he actually is, but it wouldn't be hard to kill Tony, and it would have been a joke. And for somebody of Livia's intelligence, clearly, it's just too much. And you'll never catch her on it because she can hide behind that. She can hide from the police. She can hide from the hospital staff. They'll all believe her. Right, it's just too much. Maybe it'll come to find out that she actually does have issues, she is old, but, when did she start putting on this act? After the husband died, so that she could kind of run things secretly through Junior a little bit. So Junior almost saw through her act a little bit better, right, when she's pretending not to know Meadow or something like that. But no, throughout all those conversations, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't think she actually did know what was going on, or certainly not to the extent that she apparently seems to. Right? It's just the context. Even the reveal is kind of not of her own doing. That's actually a good way they revealed it. How do we reveal that Livia is the mastermind behind all this without her doing some, ex post facto justification typical villain cliche moment, oh, ha ha ha, it was me all along. Right? No, that's a bad moment for a villain. Right? She's too smart to do that, so she doesn't do it. But what they do is the FBI puts together all these moments together, and that paints a picture that, she was, in context it works better. We've seen all these moments isolated, but together back to back. She tells Junior about Tony going to therapy. She tells Junior about, how did she even find out that he goes to therapy? I don't think, Tony never tells her, right? He finds out from she finds out from the little boy, from Tony's son, right? Tony Jr. tells her, but that's also Tony not being careful enough that, the family knows everything. Your family knows you're in the mob. Your family knows you go to therapy. Everything, lets slip. You're hiding the guns in the nursing home. You're hiding, your meetings in the nursing home. These are all things you could find out about pretty easily. So the whole point being that, basically you're in a position with Livia that you're actually able to fool everybody, because you're able to do all that planning and nobody can call you on it, and Tony has no clue what's going on, and it's a case where, I don't know, I kind of lost even my train of thought, but Tony is in a position that he had no idea what was going on. She found out all this information, all the meetings that she had, all the orders that she basically gave in a de facto sense. Maybe this is what was even happening during the husband's life. Like, she was actually the brains behind him as well. Like, or at least played a big part in it. I'm almost inclined to believe that. Like, no matter, well, if she says he's a saint, but maybe she was actually the boss the whole time, even when he was alive. Maybe he had him killed, but how? Like, I guess we don't know that, actually. That was Jackie who died, not her husband. So maybe she, I'd even suspect that. Maybe she had him whacked, and she became the boss, or she was the boss all along, right? Or they were co-bosses. Like, I'll give her credit even for a lot of his success. The husband's, the original boss is Tony's dad, basically. But no, she's put on a very convincing act, and I'm just very impressed. And this is a good way to even end it. Like, I end it, but I'm even happy. I'm sad to see it go, but I'm happy because it ended in the way that makes sense, right? It's a convincing victory. If the show actually just ended there, it ends in episode 13, Artie kills Tony, but because of, the master planning and manipulation of Livia, it's okay. It's okay because Tony's cheated death enough, right? You can't cheat death this many times. You can't keep getting away with it. That is kind of a bad writing technique, right, to keep letting him slip away. But all those orders that Livia gave through Junior are worth noting. And the reason why is because it's like, there was one in particular, right? She gives approval for the Brendan Filone hit. She gives approval for whacking Tony. She gives approval for something else like taxing Hesh, all these kind of orders in between. She gives the information about this, like him going to the therapist, right? So a lot of these things come together. I like how Tony even blames it on that. I shouldn't have made fun of him going down on a woman. Like, that's really the thing when you're also going to therapy, when you're also, having secret meetings behind his back. Like, the pecking order of those strikes, even though all three of them contribute, and 3 strikes and you're out, and Livia is a menace, and, fucking all these little catchphrases I can have. Also, the fact that Tony's unlucky number was 13, because that's where he dies. But no, these last 2 episodes were heavy as hell with the kind of subject matter they're dealing with. But no, it's like, what do you call it? It's a case where, what was it? Tony is, getting too much plot armor, cheating death too many times, and Livia's on top of things, giving the orders. Oh yeah, the 3 strikes condition. And I like how he even sat down in the bed and said that too. The reason why he's after me is because of the therapy. He identifies the 3 reasons that I identified earlier in the episode, right? But that's like very on the mind of the viewers. Like, he says, oh, I shouldn't have made that joke about the him going down on a girl. He says that earlier in the episode, and then he says to Carmela on the bed, like, it's because of therapy and it's because of the secret meetings that Junior's after me. So he almost understands the 3 strikes that I pointed out, right? Those are good. That's a good way to sort of update the viewers. Like, this is why it's happening, even though an observant viewer like myself clearly would already have those on the front of our mind. But yeah, what else is there to say besides she was very impressive? I have to give her credit. There's nothing really that I can say because she was just very impressive and very good.